Teen suicide. The reasons behind teen suicide or attempted suicide can be complex. Suicide is the third leading cause of death for 15 to 24-year-olds. It's also thought that at least 25 attempts are made for every completed teen suicide. The risk of suicide when teens have firearms at their home increases. Nearly 60% of all suicides in the United States are committed with a gun, said by kidshealth.org. Suicide happens at all ages, but prior to age 9, boys and girls commit suicide at equal rates. From ages 10 to 14, boys' rates is twice as high. From 15 to 19, 4 times as high, and from 20 to 24, more than 5 times as high. Girls think about and attempt suicide about twice as often as boys, and attempt suicide by overdosing on drugs or cutting themselves. But men are better at actually killing themselves and not just trying to. Suicide rates are different for ethnic groups. In 1998, suicide among white teens were 84% of all youth suicides, 61% male and 23% female. However, suicide rates for African Americans was 19.3 per 100,000, a lot higher than the overall rate, 8.5 per 100,000. The suicide rate for African Americans has increased by twice more than 1981. A national survey of high school students conducted in 1998 report that Hispanic students are twice as likely to report an attempted suicide than white students. In 1997, a book by Mark Etkin called Or Not to Be, a collection of suicide notes. John Peston said in USA Today to have read all 1,300 of them in a quest to produce a diagnosing of suicide. If the team will be successful remains to be seen. According to ONS, suicide is now the single biggest killer of young men in England and Wales. Depression is likely one of the greatest, if not greatest, disease in the 21st century. It's a common condition which causes a great deal of suffering and substantial number of deaths. People with depression might have low mood, loss of interest and enjoyment, reduced energy and diminished activity, poor concentration, poor self-esteem, or ideas of guilt and unworthiness. Think about planning or attempting suicide and poor appetite. Men come from Mars and women come from Venus. That's why I feel they behave differently. A new University of Western Sydney research showed that current depression treatments are not very successful with men as they are women. There is a lot of evidence to show that men have problems in expressing their emotions compared to women. Men spend more time thinking about negative emotions. Men share their emotions with far fewer people. Men express emotions with less intensity. Men are more likely to underreport negative feelings, and men are more willing to express emotions likely to be viewed as diminishing their power or control. For example, pride, anger, and jealousy. Since men have a hard time expressing feelings, things can build up, and it can end badly when it all comes out. And that's why men tend to use medication for depression, because they can avoid the emotional part of therapy. However, therapists can accommodate for men's treatments. A well-known psychologist, James Pennebaker, said that men having a diary proves an outlet for emotional expression, and not only appears to have a positive emotional effect, but proves immune function as well.
Many teenagers have thought of death. These can be a variety of causes and can result in actual attempts on their own lives. It is important to take suicide attempts seriously. Every teen suicide that you hear of, there are probably at least 25 suicide attempts made. And this does not even cover the teen suicide attempts and completed suicides that are never even heard about. Suicide among teens often occurs following a stressful life event, such as problems at school, a breakup with a boyfriend or girlfriend, the death of a loved one, or divorce, or a major family conflict. Teens who are thinking about suicide might talk about suicide or death in general, talk about feeling hopeless or feeling guilty, pull away from friends or family, start giving away treasured possessions, lose a desire to take part in favorite things or activities, experience change in eating or sleeping habits, and lose interest in school or sports. Help. 3 main things you can do. Watch and listen. Keep a close eye on the teen who's depressed. Ask questions. It's always a good idea to ask, even though doing so can be difficult. And get help. Your local mental health association or county medical society can also provide references in an emergency. You can call 1-800-SUICIDE.